Hey everybody, my name is Emily and welcome to yoga. Hopefully you guys have yoga mats, but if you don't have a yoga mat, you can always use a blanket or a towel. Some other props that you may want to grab before we begin are yoga blocks or a prop that's similar to this shape or size. So maybe books, maybe boxes, whatever you've got laying around the house. The other thing that you're going to want to grab, if you can, is a blanket. It doesn't have to be a large blanket. It can just be a throw. So grab that. And then lastly is a yoga bolster. We won't use this as much in today's class. However, if you know that you like to use one during your practice, please feel free to grab it. And if you don't have a bolster at home, you can always use a pillow. So, if you need to grab any of those other props, please go ahead and pause this video and go grab them, and then meet me back here. Let's go ahead and get started. Take a comfortable seat, and that doesn't necessarily have to be cross-legged. It can be whatever is comfortable for you today. And shift back and forth so that you are nice and grounded through your sit bones. Take an inhale and lift tall through your chest, roll your shoulders back and broad, and take your hands to your thighs or your knees, whatever feels good to you. And we're going to start with some letting go breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the mouth. Continue with these letting go breaths, taking a long, deep inhale through your nose and a slow out breath through the mouth. And as you take your letting go breaths, just notice your environment. Start to tune into things that are around you in the room. And on your next out breath, go ahead and close your eyes if that feels comfortable to you. Then return to your natural rhythm of breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. And bring your hands together at your heart center. And feel your palms pressing into one another. Repeat silently with me an affirmation of, I am healthy, I am safe, I am at peace. Take another inhale. And on your exhale, release your head towards your hands, sealing in this intention with a bow. Take one more deep, heart-honoring breath right here. Then go ahead and release your hands and open your eyes. Start to take your right ear to your right shoulder. Take a big breath and re-engage your left shoulder blade onto your back. Start to roll your head forward, tucking your chin towards your chest, and then draw your left ear over your left shoulder. Re-engage that right shoulder blade and take a big breath into the right side of your neck. And start to roll your ear back over to the other side, and then back to the left. Going as slow or as fast here as you would like. And next time you bring your chin towards your chest, keep your chin tucked there and start to roll your shoulders onto your back and shake your head no towards the floor. Inhale your head back up into center. Then take your gaze up towards the ceiling. You're going to draw your chin down to your right shoulder and then take it back up towards the ceiling and then draw it down to your left. Drawing big half circles with your chin. Next time you bring your chin over to your left shoulder, keep your gaze to the left and start to nod over your shoulder. Release your nod, take your gaze over your right shoulder and start to nod to the right. Bring your gaze back in the center, and if you're sitting cross-legged, go ahead and switch your legs to the opposite cross. Then shift once more so that you are grounded on your sit bones. You're going to inhale your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale as you press them back and down. Continue inhaling them up. And exhaling them down. And on your next inhale, switch the direction of your circles. Rolling your shoulders back, up and forward. Then release your arms down by your side. Take your right hand to the base of your neck, right where it meets at your thoracic spine. There is a slight curve there. Take your hand to that space right at the bottom of your neck. Then draw your elbow down so that it's sticking directly out from your shoulder. And from there, you're going to reach your elbow forward so that you're pulling on the back of your neck. Keep that engagement, then drop your right ear over to your right shoulder and see if you can allow your head and neck to release over your hand and arm. Inhale, come back up to center and then switch to the other side. Take your left hand to that same curve right at the base of your neck, right where it connects at the top of your shoulders. Then you're going to draw your elbow down and reach it forward. Go ahead and drop your left ear to left shoulder and take some big breaths. Inhale, come back up to center and release your hand back down. Let's take both hands and press all four corners of your palms into one another. Feel your fingertips pressing into each other, and then draw your hands down so that they are parallel with your elbows if you can. From there, or wherever you are, start to pulse your hands up and down, getting an extra stretch through your wrist. Then come back into center, start to rotate through your wrists so that you're fanning your fingers forward, bringing them back towards your chest. And release your hands, shake them out. We are going to move to hands and knees or tabletop. So if you are on hardwood floor or tile and would like to have some additional support, feel free to grab your blanket here and set it underneath your knees. If you are on carpet, you might not need that extra support. Go ahead and set yourself up with hands directly underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Press all four corners of your palms into the ground and grip the ground with your fingers. Engage your shoulders onto your back, and then imagine rotating your arms so that your elbow pits face towards the front of your mat. From there, take an inhale, allow your belly to drop towards your mat and take your gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, press your spine back. Inhale, allow your belly to drop into your cow-like pose. Exhale, back into your cat-like pose. And continue this movement to the rhythm of your own breath. As you take this movement, just notice how you're feeling in your spine today. How are your shoulders and hips doing? Then meet me back at a neutral spine. You're going to take your knees wide, keep your hips close to, or your heels close to one another. You're going to take your hips back towards your heels and walk your hands down, bringing your forehead as close to the floor as you can possibly get it. With your forehead resting on the floor, take some deep breaths. On your next inhale, walk your hands towards your knees and come back up into tabletop position. Take your knees slightly closer towards one another, and you're going to drop your hips over to your right and then over to the left. And you get to decide how low you drop your hips down. Maybe it feels really good to touch the floor, or maybe it feels better to stay up high. So you decide where you're at today. Come back into center. Take your knees a little bit wide, or line your knees directly underneath your hips again. Rotate your upper arm bones so that your elbows are pointing towards the front of your mat. Then you're going to tuck your toes and take your hips back into your downward facing dog pose. And in your downward facing dog pose, start to find some movement. You can bend one knee at a time, pedaling out your feet. Maybe you could take some big bends to both knees. So whatever feels better for you. Wherever you're at, make sure that you're pressing down with the index knuckle of your fingers, of your hands, and that you've got a little bit of a bend in your elbows. Now come into some stillness. Reach through your sit bones back behind you and allow your heels to float towards the floor. Reach your right leg up back behind you. Flex your foot and reach actively through that heel. Inhale, work your foot forward in between your hands. And if you have blocks, grab your blocks here. Look back at your back foot and allow your toes to open to the side at a 45-degree angle. Maybe you bring your heel down to the floor in the back. Notice where your front leg is. Make sure that you've got your bent knee lined up over your shin and ankle. Then you're going to press down into the ground. Inhale up to warrior one. Exhale, release your hands to your sides. Take your hands to clasp at the bottom of your spine, close to your sacrum. Roll your shoulders back and broad and reach your elbows towards one another. Maybe reach your hands down towards the floor some more, but be sure to keep a bend in your elbows and to continually reach them towards one another. Release your hands, inhale up. And exhale your hands to heart center. Start to straighten your front leg. And then square off your hips and chest so that you're facing the front of the mat. From there, take your right hand to your right hip crease and press your hip crease back in space. You can keep your hands either at your hips or you can keep your hands here at your chest. But start to with a flat back, hinge at your hips, folding over your legs. And you decide how deep you come down into this side stretch. Maybe you stay right here. Maybe you come all the way down to blocks. Perhaps you feel like you've got it in you to keep your spine long as you come all the way down to the mat. Wherever you are, take some deep breaths. And on your next inhale, start to come back up. Exhale, bend into your front knee, tuck your back toes, and press off your back foot to inhale up to mountain. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale up to half forward fold, and then exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back into your downward facing dog pose. In your downward facing dog pose, start to take your hips to one side and over to the other, getting a nice side body stretch here. Then come back into center. Reach your left foot back behind you, flex your foot, and reach through that heel. Inhale, work your foot forward in between your hands. And once more, grab your blocks here if you like. Let your back heel come down to the ground. Allow your toes to open at a 45-degree angle to the right. And then line up your front knee directly over your ankle. Inhale, curl open. Exhale, your hands to heart center. Inhale, you're going to open your arms to gratitude. And in gratitude, I'll turn to you so that you can see. You've got your elbows in, your arms are out to your sides, your hands, your palms are facing the ceiling, and you want to imagine that there's a little bit of weight in your hands. Inhale, arms back overhead. Then exhale your hands to heart center. Start to straighten your front leg. And make sure that you're not locking out either of your knees here. Square off your hips. And then start to fold over your legs. Continue to press that left hip crease back in space. And once more, you get to decide how far you come down, which might be different on this other side. Continue to reach through your sit bones back behind you. And if you're starting to curl through your spine, then maybe come up a little bit. Inhale, start to come back up. Exhale, bend to your front knee. Tuck your back toes, and then press off your back foot to come forward. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, fold. Move your blocks aside, plant your hands, and step back into your downward facing dog. In your down dog, inhale to come a little bit forward towards plank, then exhale, press your sit bones back. Once more, inhale, coming forward, exhale, pressing back. Then go ahead and release your knees down to the ground. Take your feet to one side and your hips back down to the ground on the other. If your blanket is in the way, go ahead and shift it aside. And make sure that all of your props are close and that you can reach them. Go ahead and walk yourself back onto your backs. And then walk your feet close to your hips. Bring your heels close to your hips. And then you're going to press down into the ground to lift your hips up off of the ground. And then you're either going to grab your bolster and slide your bolster underneath your hips. You can grab your block and slide your block underneath your hips. Or you can grab your blanket, which I apologize, I should have had you roll this up before we laid on our backs. But whatever prop you decide, go ahead and slide it underneath your hips. And then go ahead and release your hips back down onto your prop. From there, you can take your arms out at your sides into a T shape. Maybe take your arms up overhead. And then you can take your legs into either butterfly, or you can extend them out long in front of you. So you get to decide which version of bridge pose is going to feel best for you today. Wherever you're at, take some deep breaths. Three more big breaths right here. Then bend your knees and walk your feet back in towards your hips. Lift your hips up off of your prop and slide it aside. Then gently bring yourself back to the floor. Bend one knee into your chest at a time. Bring both of them together. Take your arms around and give them a good squeeze. Start to rock back and forth here, massaging out your back muscles. in your spine. And take your hands to your knees. Start to draw big circles with your knees. Switch the direction of your circles. Massaging our low backs here, maybe even getting into the tops of our glutes. Then go ahead and release both footprints back to the floor and extend one leg out at a time. Reach through both flexed feet. Then go ahead and release your legs and allow your toes to open to the side. Take your arms around you and give yourself a good hug, and then pull your shoulder blades away from each other. From there, open up your arms and allow your arms to rest at your sides. We are moving into Shavasana, or final resting pose. So if you know you would like to prop yourself any other way, please feel free to do so. Maybe that is a bolster under your knees. Maybe that's a blanket over your body. You get to decide where you want to be to allow yourself to release and relax. And as you lay there, start to tune back into your physical sensations. Bring your awareness to your feet. Feel your legs sinking heavy into the floor. Notice the weight of your hips on the ground. Scan up your torso and back. And allow any tension in your middle body to release. Spread your awareness down your shoulders and into your arms and hands, and feel your arms sinking into the ground at your sides. Release any tension on your arms and come back to your throat and your neck. Allow those muscles to be soft. Notice if you're clenching your jaw, and relax the muscles of your jaw. Allow your face muscles to be soft, and allow your eyes to be soft behind your eyelids. Bring your attention to the top of your head and notice if there is any vibration there. If there is any sensation there, see if you can allow that to soften. Now, release any focus on your body and allow your mind to be completely free. begin to take a deeper breath. Find some gentle movement in your fingers and in your toes. Make fists with your hands and reach them overhead in a nice full body stretch. Then bend your knees and move any props aside so that you can roll over to whichever side feels better today. At your side, bring your belly close to the floor and feel the support that the earth provides. Take one more big breath right here, and on your next inhale, gently press yourself up to a seated position. At seated, shift once more so that you are grounded through your sit bones. And take your hands together at your hearts. Close your eyes if that feels okay to you. And tune back into that affirmation, that mantra that we said at the beginning of class. Repeat silently to yourself, I am healthy, I am safe, I am at peace. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.